Welcome back to Classic Vinyl Podcast. Tonight we are going to really struggle to get through this episode.
Well, I'm only laughing because you're laughing, and Tyler has uncontrollable fits of laughter.
I do.
And, of course, tonight we're doing the Doors and their song, well, not their song, but a song they did live many a times, Gloria. And, of course, this is Classic Vinyl Podcast. Let's get to that. This is the podcast where we listen to and review songs, mostly and sometimes albums from the classic vinyl era, the 60s and 70s. One of my favorite bands, the Doors. We've got a ton of songs that have been requested to us, but we need to throw the Doors in there every once in a while. And so we're trying to go a little bit of the, I wouldn't say deeper cuts. And this is a deeper cut because they only done it live. And this is Gloria.
But I can see why.
Yeah, you can see why. But why don't we get a little history of the band The Doors first out of the way?
Yeah.
They're a rock and roll band formed in Los Angeles, California in 1965. You've got Jim Morrison. Obviously, everybody knows him. He knew Ray Manzarek from UCLA Film School. Jim and Ray met up later, and Jim told Ray, hey, I've been writing all these lyrics, sang Moonlight Drive, just like he did in the movie, even though the movie's not very correct, that part was, and they decided to form a band.
Did Ray request that he could do backup?
I think Ray was a singer beforehand, but he does a little backup on a couple versions of this one, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does. So the Doors are Jim Morrison on vocals, Ray Manzarek on keyboards and bass a lot of times, Robbie Krieger on guitar, and John Densmore on drums. Now, Jim Morrison came up with the band name. It's straight out of an Aldous Huxley book, The Doors of Perception. It's supposed to be more about acid, cleansing the doors of perception. And the Doors have a unique sound, and I've said this many a time on our Doors episodes. People either seem to really love the Doors or really hate them, and I think the keyboard is the key contributing factor to that. But
might be the subject matter.
Well, on this song, yeah, that could be this song. But they've been described as jazz, rock, blues, psychedelic. You've got Morrison's baritone voice, his dark eroticism, poetic lyrics, all that thing. I mean, we all know what Morrison's well known for. They were initially the house band for the LA club London Fog. They later became the house band for the famous Whiskey A Go-Go there on the Sunset Strip. They were signed by Elektra Records in August of 1966. All in all, the band has released 6 studio albums, at least when Morrison was alive. They did 2 studio albums after his death, with Robbie and Ray taking on the vocals. They've also released 2 soundtrack albums, 21 compilations, 21 singles, and 8 box sets, and 30th and 40th and 50th, and I'm sure 60th and 70th, and all those different anniversary editions that poor me will buy every single damn one of them. But they did release 1 poetry album after Morrison's death that was called American Prayer. It was released in 1978. It was mainly the remaining Doors put music to some of the poetry Morrison had recorded previous. In the U.S., all 6 of their studio albums with Morrison reached the top 10, which is a pretty big feat. Debut album released in 1967 reached number 2 in the charts. It's rated 4 times platinum by the RIAA, and it's actually their most successful single on that album and most well-known song that probably most people know, which is Light My Fire. Now, Strange Days, their second album, reached number 3. Waiting for the Sun, their third album, reached number 1. The Soft Parade, which is a real big departure from their previous sound, it reached number 6. It's got a lot of strings and brass on it. That album has become a cult classic among Doors fans. Morrison Hotel reached number 4 on the charts. LA Woman, their final studio album with Jim Morrison, reached number 9. All of their albums reached platinum, but LA Woman is 3 times platinum. Even though it didn't chart as well as the others, it sold better. And maybe a lot of that because it was contributed to Morrison's death at the time. The same thing happened with John Lennon with Double Fantasy when it released. It wasn't doing super well. Then he's murdered, and it does really well. And I think that's just kind of natural. But in the UK, 4 of their albums hit in the top 50. Waiting for the Sun at number 16. Morrison Hotel was their top album in the UK, hitting number 12. In Canada, they had all albums in the top 50. 3 of those albums in the top 20. Waiting for the Sun at number 3. Soft Parade at number 4. Morrison Hotel at number 3. And LA Woman at number 12. They've had more greatest hits and compilation albums, really, that you can count, and several of those have been in the top 100. In the U.S., as far as singles are concerned, 15 singles hit the top 100. The band, as popular as they are still to this day, only had 3 singles in the top 10. Light My Fire, Hello, I Love You, both hit number 1. Touch Me hit number 3. In the UK, 4 singles in the top 50. Light My Fire was their top charting song in the UK at number 7. In Canada, 12 of their singles hit the top 50, with 6 of those singles being the top 10. People Are Strange, Hello, I Love You, Touch Me, all 3 of those songs hit number 1. Light My Fire only hit number 2, and Love Her Madly hit number 3. So they're the first American band to have 8 consecutive gold albums. They've sold over 110 million albums worldwide. And, you know, the funny thing about this band is we talk about bands all the time that did really well in the 60s and 70s and been forgotten today. The Doors did really well, but they haven't been forgotten today. And they had a lot of renewed success with the movie The Doors in 91, even though anyone close to the band says there was basically hardly any truth in that movie. But that is the movie that got me into the Doors, because if anything, it's got the music, and that's what hooked me in. And so I adore the movie for that. Jim Morrison died of a heart failure in Paris in July of 1971, and that's another thing that really enhanced the band's legacy there too. It's like any band. Not only was Jim Morrison the lead singer, he was the face of the Doors. So when he passed, as tragic as it was that we weren't going to get any more music from Morrison, it certainly martyred him and the band and led to their success. And some of the situation surrounding his death is kind of still to this day debated, and it just gives you something to talk about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So they were inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1993 for what it is, but I think it's time to get to the song. So is it time for you to show me your thing?
Why did you show me your thing?
Why'd you do it, baby?
Let's do it.
Let's get to the song review.
Let's do it.
And now it's time for the song review.
So today we're doing Gloria, and this is the song that had Tyler laughing uncontrollably beforehand. He's known to lock up when things kind of catch his funny bone, but
sometimes I get tickled.
Yes, you do. And we listened to several versions of this song. The most popular came out, their live album, Live She Cried, and then I first heard it on In Concert, which was kind of a combination of that. But we also listened to Live at the Aquarius, Live at the Matrix, and the Bright Midnight Archives, which is the version that's uncut and the one that had Tyler rolling on the floor.
The one where Ray really sings back up.
Yes, he does. I like how he just chips in the little lyrics in there.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, so this song, Glory, was originally written by Van Morrison in 1963. No relation to Jim Morrison, but we all know Van Morrison, and it was recorded by his then band, Them, in 1964. Van Morrison supposedly wrote this song when he was 18 years old, clear back in 1963, like I said, mainly made up of ad-lib lyrics he was just coming up with during a performance. And you can kind of see that from Morrison, Jim Morrison, that is, on his performances. It's also been said that the ad-lib lyrics were about Van Morrison's girlfriend, who supposedly was good in bed and made late-night calls for sex from Van, and that's all explained in Jim Morrison's singing of this as well. But it was the B-side of them, the band Them, their song Baby Please Don't Go, which that was kind of a popular song too, that actually hit number 102 on the charts in the US, but did hit number 10 in the UK, so it was kind of a big hit in the UK. This song was never released on a Doors studio album, but it was played by the band live all the time, and it was released on the band's second live album in 1983, A Live She Cried. And of course, that one is censored a little bit different than the Bright Midnight Archives, but their first live album released was the 1970 album Absolutely Live. The album Alive She Cried, that was released in 1983, it was really released because of a lot of newfound interest in the Doors. Their song The End had been used in the 1979 film Apocalypse Now, which I think a lot of people have seen that movie, and it's kind of interesting how they use the Doors in that. And they released their greatest hits in 1980 because of this new interest, and it really got people going on the band again. And then obviously about 10 years later, they released the movie. Now, Live She Cried was the live album compiled of various concerts from 1960 to 1970 of the band. And the recording of Gloria on this, which I think actually is the best recording, and that's probably why they used it. But this one in particular was from the band's July 1969 performance at the Aquarius Theater in Los Angeles, California. And where I had first heard it was on the 1991 double CD release In Concert. That's because once the CDs started coming back out, I had to get that double album. It was pretty cool. And it was basically a compilation of Alive She Cried, Live at the Hollywood Bowl, and Absolutely Live. It was just kind of all bundled together. And at the time, I didn't know that. I was thinking it was all just one concert, but obviously it wasn't. They just picked the best they could find. So In Concert, the album, the double album, did fairly well, hitting number 50 in the Billboard charts, and it's certified platinum by the RIAA. That's pretty decent for a live album, especially in the 90s from a 60s band. This song, Gloria, was also released as a single that same year, hitting number 18 on the mainstream rock charts and number 71 on the Billboard charts. And that's something I wasn't aware of. But I guess at the time I didn't realize they were releasing it. So for this, and I get why they had to include the censored version if they were going to release it on the radio, because there's enough reading into this song and the lyrics anyways.
It's still really impressive that single would hit that high.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It's amazing.
But this song's been covered by quite a few artists. Patti Smith, John Lee Hooker, Jimi Hendrix, Tom Petty, Bruce Springsteen, Grateful Dead, etc., etc. But my favorite version, of course, is this Doors version. So, Tyler, we listened to several versions. I think the one that kind of got you locked up was the Bright Midnight's Archives version, which is very uncensored.
Oh, it's unbridled.
Yeah, but first of all, what is your history with this song? Do you know this song? Have you heard it before? Or
I know mostly the final chorus, if you can call it a chorus. That's the band chanting Gloria, Gloria over and over again. That's been used in a lot of pop culture and commercials and such. The rest of the song, not so much. Pretty obvious reasons. It's a very overtly sexual song.
Oh yeah, I mean even the tone of the music follows. Yeah. My biggest thing I wrote down for this song is it's a very orgasmic song. Mm-hmm. The whole song reads as an orgasm of music. It really does. And so do the lyrics, let's be honest. But what are your thoughts? We listened to this thing 4 times in a row, and it's about an 8-minute song, all the live versions.
It's pretty long.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on this song, Gloria?
So this song, I honestly didn't know what to think for a while listening to this. Well, I'll give you the nuts and bolts real quick. So it starts off with a strumming guitar, and then it's joined in by a bass pretty close after. There's a little bit of vocalization, and then the keyboard and drums kick in as well. Jim Morrison starts off, he's really straining his voice, and he rasps quite a bit. And then as he continues singing, he reins it in, and it goes back to that rich, smooth baritone that we love him for. And I thought, wow, that's amazing to go from he sounds like he needs a drink of water and needs to, settle down and take a breather for a minute, maybe puff some inhaler or something to loosen up his lungs. But he goes from this really strained, raspy dryness to this sultry, rich, baritone that we love. And it's amazing to see that kind of transition. It's very sexual in nature, and I thought, maybe it's just barely. No, it's quite overtly sexual as we go along. He's singing about taking this girl home to his place and getting to know her a little bit better. And now they get to know each other a little bit. Maybe they start getting to know each other a little more intimately.
Well, she shows him her thing.
Yeah. And it kind of drives him crazy.
He's like, why'd you do it, baby?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he wanted her to, let's be honest.
Of course. Yeah. So she did. And then they enjoy themselves. And then later on, he meets up with her after school. And she takes him home to her place. Her mom's out shopping. Her dad's still at work. She takes him up to her room and shows him her thing. And yeah, the whole way from then on, this song is just him describing a very sexual experience with this young lady and the sort of things that they do. To make it all the more interesting, you've got Ray Manzarek that just pipes in while he's playing the bass and the keyboard at the same time. Every once in a while, just offering his commentary. Yeah, get in there, girl.
Yeah, it's kind of something we can't really say on the podcast, but go to Spotify or Apple Music and listen to Gloria by the Doors on the Bright Midnight Archives. And yeah, Ray does some risque commentary to it. Let's put it that way.
But then it crescendos up. And I mean, it really, the way that he sings about it, and all, like, you follow the way the whole song goes, and it really sounds like you're listening to a piece of art from classical art gallery somewhere. That it's like looking at a painting that's classically painted, but it's of a very passionate, sweaty sex romp. And so you're watching this and you're like, wow, this is extremely graphic, but at the same time, it's super artistic, the way that the artist captures the moment. And apart from it just being a really, really raunchy sex song, it's got a depth to it that I caught on to this probably about the last time listening through. So about 4 times we listened to it.
Yeah.
8 minutes long. And like the way that it all comes together and crescendos, and then you get to the Gloria, and it's like, they're right there at the peak of the whole thing. And yeah, it's very orgasmic. And then the song ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, this song was...
Then, like you said, that's time for his cigarette.
Exactly. He needs a cigarette at the end of that because, yeah, he's finished. Apart from the very bass and lowbrow nature of the song, it really is a beautiful work of art, and not to be taken for what it sounds like. I mean, this isn't just pornography to the ears. This really is a piece of artwork. I came to thoroughly enjoy it for the art that it is, apart from the fact that it is so overtly sexual. And yet part of that overtly sexual nature is what it seems to be that the Morrisons are trying to do, and to show us that this is their capturing of a very passionate moment, a very intense moment for that most people, not necessarily everybody, but most people at some point in their lives will experience this. So I think it's well done. What are your thoughts on this one, Justin?
Well, although I like Van Morrison's version, Jim Morrison takes this to a different place. And not just Jim Morrison, but the Doors. I think, obviously, we both know and think this song is overtly sexual and orgasmic, and the music reflects that. The lyrics obviously reflect that. But I think even as a kid, like when I first started listening to this and maybe didn't fully understand the sexual nature of it, it's just a good rocking heavy song, if not one of the Doors' heaviest songs they have. I would say it's kind of a shame they didn't release it on a studio album, but I think on a studio album it might not have done it justice. I really enjoy the lyrics. One of my favorite lyrics in this is, "You were my queen and I was your fool, riding home after school." To me, that kind of explains any teenage love/lust situation that's going on. Most people have been through that, right?
Yeah.
You were my queen and I was your fool. I mean, that kind of explains childhood and childhood love. But this song, is amazing. I think the Doors are great live. One thing that always impresses me, not to mention Ray's little commentary in the song, but the fact that Ray Manzarek can play the keyboard with one hand and the bass keyboard with another hand is just absolutely amazing. There's nothing intricate about the bass, but it's a good thick bass, and he plays the keyboard excellent. And only having one guitar on this thing, Robbie's got it cranked up, and the drumming is heavy on this, which is super surprising from John Densmore as a kind of jazz drummer, but he can drum heavy when I want. And this is just a heavy song. You take all the lyrics and the meaning out of it, this is a very heavy song for the Doors.
I'm impressed that there's only one guitar.
Yeah, well, and I used to be in my room at my parents' house downstairs, and I had huge Fisher speakers that I'd saved up all my money for. And I remember when I first got in concert, this is the song that I would throw on and just crank loud and pretend I was part of the band, because this song just, when it gets into those little breakdowns after the chorus, it's a heavy song. And I suggest anybody that listened to it, especially the Either the Bright Midnight Archives, but the live at the Alive She Cried version that's from the Aquarius Theater, that version that was polished and put on in concert, that's the heaviest version musically. They've trimmed down some of the lyrics to be a little more friendly, obviously, because they released it as a single too. But
they did leave a little bit of Ray in there.
Yeah, they did. But the one thing you kind of touched on too was Morrison's vocal. I think it's amazing in this.
Yeah.
It goes from strained to sounding like he's losing his voice, but I think that's kind of the nature and what he's trying to do, because he then, like you said, he goes back to that baritone. And this song is very orgasmic, up and down. Slow it down, speed it up, slow it down. What's going on here? And the song ends in an explosion.
Yeah, it's all a performance.
It is a performance, but even if you don't take it that way and take the sexual nature out of it, the song is just a good rocking song without a doubt. So yeah, a really good song, and that's why I wanted to do it on here. And I think if you like the Doors, but you're only kind of into their hits or even their albums, you really need to check Gloria out and the different versions of Gloria.
For sure.
So you want to get the song rating?
Yes.
Song rating.
All right, this one was a devil of a time trying to rate, but I'll briefly explain our rating scale for our listeners if this is your first time. Our rating scale is 0 to 10, 10 being the best. I had to really break this thing down and do an average in order to get an accurate rating. So the music wise, like, the song itself, the instruments, all of the performance is a 10. Without a doubt. It's all spot on. It's all perfect. It's all beautiful. The lyrics, they're rather lowbrow, so I give them a 6. But it's the range and the art of this song are so excellent. So the art of this song, I give it like a 9. But then again, I've got Ray in there, and he's about a 27. Because I love Ray so much. And so this song, like I said, like listening to a classical art piece depicting some raw, sweaty sex, I give this one an 8.5. That's what it averaged out to for me. Where do you put this one, Justin?
So I know the past 2 weeks we've been the same on our ratings.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to be the same this time.
Aha.
I rate this song higher than you.
Oh.
I rate this song a 9, and I'm rating it for what it is. I think if it was I kind of think, God, maybe I shouldn't rate it that high because it's just a live song, right? Mm-hmm. But for what it means to me, I remember rocking out to this song. And you say the lyrics are lowbrow, and they are.
Yeah.
But they also have meaning, and they fit into the art of the song. And you don't really, I think as a child, it's a song about this person he's in love with Gloria. I didn't piece it together for a while,
Yeah.
And that's fine if that's the way you want to take it, because it's an excellent piece of music, excellent singing. All the instruments are perfect on it. I probably should rate this a 10. I don't know why I didn't, but I'm going to stick with my 9. I love this song, and I visit in concert the album, that double album that's a mixture of their live albums quite often, and I suggest if you haven't, try the Doors live, because there's a lot of the Doors that translate better live than they do studio-wise, in my opinion. And it just shows the depth of the band to me, so... But that's the Doors version of Gloria. It took us a minute to start recording because Tyler couldn't quit laughing, but apparently he enjoyed it. So I guess that's all that matters.
I thoroughly enjoyed this song. Thank you so much for introducing me. Like I said, I was familiar with the Gloria, but I had never heard the rest of it. So,
yeah.
It's 8 minutes. It seems like 8 minutes is about the right time. Even the length of this song. This thing is designed to perfectly depict a sexual encounter.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So that's the Doors Gloria. Why don't you send us an email and let us know what you think at classicvinylpodcast@gmail.com. And if you have any songs or albums you'd like us to rate or suggestions, whatever you have, send them there. But we really appreciate you taking your time to listen. Like always, we'll see you next time.
See ya. Thank you so much for listening to Classic Vinyl Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Classic Vinyl Podcast for updates, and also share us with your music-loving friends.